I'm going to read it. The Prince and the Pauper, written by Mark Twain. It's time to read it. Chapter 28. The Sacrifice. Meantime, Miles was growing sufficiently tired of the confinement and inaction. But now his trials came on, to his great gratifications, and he thought his good welcomes, any sentence provided further imprisonment should not be a part of it. But he was mistaken about that. He was in fine fury when he found himself described as a stern vagabond, and sentenced to sit 2 hours in the stocks for bearing that the characters and for asserting the master of the Hendon Hall, his pretension as to brothership with his prosecutor, and a rightful heirship to Hendon honors and estates were left contemptuously unnoticed as being not even worth examinations. He raised and threatened on his way to punishment, but it did no good. He was snatched roughly along by the officers and got an occasional scuffed besides for his irreverent conduct. The king could not pierce through the light that swarmed behind, so he was obliged to follow in the rear and remote from his good friend and servant. The king had been nearest condemned to the stocks himself for being in such bad company, but had been so let off with lectures and warning in consideration of his youth, and when the crowd last halted, he quickly feverishly from point to point around this hourings and hunting a place to get through, and at last, after deals of difficulty and delay, succeeded. There sat his first henchman in the degrading stocks, the sport and the bird of dirty Murray. The body servant of the King of England, Edward, had heard the sentence pronounced, but he had not realized the hope that it meant. As Angus began to rise as the sense of his new indignities which had been put upon him sank home, he jumped to summer heat at the next moment when he throws an exhaust through the air and crushed himself against the Hendon's cheek, and heard the crowd roar with enjoyment of the absurd. He sprang across the open circle, confronted the officer in charge, crying, "For shame! This is my servant's temporary. I'm the—" "Oh, please!" exclaimed Hendon in a panic. "Until we're destroying this up, this man in not officers, he's mad. And give these interest at the matter of the mind hymns, good man. I have a small mind to mind hymns, but at teaching him somewhat to that end well inclined." He turned to her subordinate and said, "Give the little fool a taste of true flesh to mend his manners." Half a dozen was better served these terms, and so does the Sir Hugh, who had ridden up the moment before to take a passing glance at the proceedings. The king was seized. He did not even struggle, so paralyzed was he with the mere thought of the monstrous outraging that was proposed to be inflicted upon his sacred person. His was alleged the field filed with the record of the scourgings of an English king, with which it was an intolerable reflection that he must punish a duplicate of the shameful face. He was in the toils, and there was no help for him. He must either take this punishment or beg for its remission. Hard conditions. He would take the stripes. The king might do that, but the kings could not beg. In the meantime, Miles Hendon was resolving the difficulty. Let the child go and said he, and yeah, how his dogs and do, yes, not see how young and fresh he is, and so let him go. I will take his lectures. America's thought and thanks for it, and satisfies through his face, lighting the sardonic satisfaction. So let a little beggar go, and then give this fellow a dozen in his place, an honest dozen. While right on, the king was in the act of entering the fierce protest, but Sir Hugh silenced him with his Forten's remarked, "Yes, speak up. Do and plead mine own marquess that for each word you'd utter, he he shall get 6 strokes the more. Helen was removed from the stock, and his back to the latest best, and whilst the watch was applied, the poor little king turned away his face and allowed unloyal tears to channels his cheeks unchecked, and brave good heart, said to himself, this loyal deed shall never perish out of memories. I'll not forget it, and neither shall they. He added with passions, whilst amused, the appreciation of Henden's magnanimous conduct grew to greater and still greater dimension in his mind. And so also did his great poet presently said to himself, who saved this prince from and falsely and desisted for means of firm's high serves, but it's little is nothing and less than nothing to him. This weighs against the act of him who saved his prince from shame. And the men outcries and the scourged but bruised the heavy blows with the soldiers of fortitude. And this, together, with his redeeming the voice by taking his stripes from him, for the respect of even the Florence and the wisdom of that was gathered there and his gifts, and then hootings died away, and no sound remained but the sound of the falling blows. The stillest that pervaded the face, and when Hendon found himself once immersed in the strokes toward the strong contrasted with the insulting carousals which had prevailed there so little a while before the kings came softly to Hendon's side and then whispered in his ears that kings cannot inaugurate those disgrace so for one who is higher than king's husband that for thee, but a king can conform the nobility to man and picked up the scourge from the ground and touched Hendon's breathing and shoulders lightly with it, and was spread out of the angle and understood the Hendon was touched with the water well to his eyes, and at the same time the gracious humor of the situation circumstance so undermined his gravity that it was all he could do to keep some signs of his inward mirth and from showing outside, to be suddenly unhoisted naked and go with the from the common tracks to the fine aptitude, and strain on those of and ardent, and seemed to him the last possibility in the line of the grotesque. He said to himself, now I have to find the king's star. Indeed, spectrum nights of the kingdom of dream and the shadow as became a spectre's all digits supplied the first color wing. Now, this gone, I shall presently to be hung like the bedding maypole, with fantastic gold and make believe now honest, but I shall value them to all the rich that they are for the love that those little them. But it is for remote dignity of mind that comes unasked from a clean hand and a light spirit, then nearest one's boat, devised abilities from the grudgings and restless power. The register should free his horse and about as he spurred away, and leaving divided silence to let him pass, as silence closed together again, and so remained nobody went so far as to venture so remarks in favor of the prisoner, or in compliment to him, but no matter the absence of abuse was a sufficient homage in itself. A latecomer who was not forced to the present circumstance, and who delivered the seniors that imposed, and was in the act of falling with the dead cat, was promptly knocked down to keep out without any words, and then the deed quiet resumes straight once more to London. Chapter 29. To London. When Hendon's term of service in the structure was finished, he was released and ordered to quit the Legion, and has come back. Numerous his word was restored to him, and also his mule and donkeys. They mounted and loaded up, and followed by the king. The crowd opening with its quiet respectableness to let them pass, and then dispersing when they were gone. And all the citizens observed and thought there was the question of high importance to be answered. What should he do? Should he go? Powerful help must be found somewhere. or he must relinquish his inheritance and remain under limitations of being an imposter besides. Where could he hope to find this powerful help? Where, indeed, there was no questions, and by a thought and occurred to him, which is point to a possibility, the slenderest of slender possibilities, certainly, but still worth considering, so like have any other that promised anything at all that he remembered, though. What old Andrews had felt about the young king's goodness and his generous championship of a long and unfortunate, so why not go and try to get speech of him and beg for justice? Oh yeah, first good is so fantastic, perform. He had admission to the august presence of the monarch. Never mind, a lot of matters take care of itself. It was a bridge that would not need to be crossed till he should come to it. He worked on all those campaigns and used inventing shift and expanded. No doubt he would be able to find a way, and yeah, he would strike for the capital. Maybe his father's old friend, Sir Humphrey Mallow, would help him. The good old Sir Humphrey had a lieutenant of loyalist King's Kitchens, or established, or something Miles could not remember just what, or which is now that he had something to turn his energies and to a distinctly defined object to accomplish the heap of humiliations and depressions which had settled down upon his spirits and left his and flew away. And he laid his head and looked about him. He was surprised to see how far he had come. The village was a ways behind him. The king was jogging along in his wake, and with his head bowed for him, and he was deep in plans and thinking a sort of misgivings and crowded Henderson his bonds and cheerfulness. Would the boys be willing to school again? If he were, during all his good life, he had never known anything about ill usage and pinchings want. But the question must be asked. It could not be avoided, so Henderson ran up and called out, I forgot to inquire as to whether we are bound at the command now reach to London. And moved on against March list and continued with the answers, but astounded at it too. The whole journey was made without adventure of importance, but it ended once. About 10 o'clock on the night of 19th of February, they stepped upon London Bridge. In the midst of the leading struggling jams, howling and hurraying, people would be jolly paced throughout, strolling in the glare from manifold torches at the instant of the king's head of some former duke or Alex Grandi, thumb pulled down between them, striking Hannon on the elbow, and then bounding off among the hurrying confusion on feet. So evanescent and unstable men's works in this world, and the late good king is about 3 weeks dead, 3 days in his grave, and already the adornments which he took such pains to select from prominent people for his nobles breeches are falling, a citizen's tongue of that bed, and drove his own head into the back of somebody in front of him, who turned and knocked down the first person that came handy and was promptly laid out. Interested by that person friend, it was a light life, the times for free fight. As for the festivities of the more coronation, they were at its beginnings. Everybody was full of strong doing and patriotism. Within 5 minutes, a free fight was uprising, a good deal of ground. Within 10 of 12, it covered an acre sore, and so it was becoming a riot. By this time, the Hendons and the king were hopelessly separated from each other, lost in the rush and turmoil of the roaring mass of humanity, and so lived then. Chapter 30, Time's Progress. I read this chapter. While the two kings wandered about the land fully clad, cupped and dried device from on wires, hurling with thieves and murders, energies another and the core idiot, and in parts just about all on partials, the mocking Tom's candy enjoyed a quite different experience when we saw him last. The alert was just beginning. to have a bright side for him. This bright side went on brightening more and more every day. In a very little while was become almost of sunshine and darkness. He lost his fears, his misgivings faded away, faded out and died. His embarrassment departed, gave place to uneasy and confident bearings. He worked as the whippings the boy mine to the ever-increasing profit. He always my Lady Elizabeth and my Lady James graced into his presence when he wanted to play or talk, and dismissed them when he was done with them with the air of one familiarly accustomed to such performance. There is no longer confused him to have these lofty personages kiss his hand the protein he came to enjoy, being conducted to be bad in state at night and rested with the intricate and solemn ceremony. In the morning he came to his proud presence to march to dinners attend the bride returns processions, other officers of state and the gentlemen at arms, and so much indeed that he doubled his guard of gentlemen at arms and made them 100. He liked to hear the bugles, the soundings down the long corridors and the distant voice responding to the king. He even learned to enjoy sitting in throne state in councils, and seemed to be something more than the Lord Protector's the mouthpiece. He liked to receive the great ambassadors and their gorgeous trains and listen to the affectionate messages they brought from illustrious monarchs who called his brothers of African County, little awful court. He enjoyed his splendid clothes and other most in found 400 servants to few first the properest grandeur and travel and the odulations of Solomon coffees came to sweet music to his ears. He remained kind and gentle and sturdy and determined champions of all that were oppressed, and he made it tireless to war upon under slows, yet upon occasions being offended, he could turn upon earth and ours even a duke, give him a look that would make him tremble. Once they ran his loyal sisters, the His Holy Lady Mary set herself to reason with him against the wisdoms of his course in pardoning so many people who would otherwise be jailed, or hanged, or burned, or reminding him that their overstraight farthest prisons that had sometimes contained had 6,000 convicts at one time. During his admirable reign, he had delivered 72,000 thieves and over the dust by the executions. The voice was filled with its generous indignations and demanded her to go to her closet and beseech God and to take away the stone that was in her breast and give her a human heart. You can't never feel trouble about the poor little delightful prince who had treated him so kindly and fallen out with such a hot jeer to avenge him upon the insolent sentinels at Palace Gate. Yeah, his first loyal days and nights would few as sprinkled with his painful thought about the lost prince, and with his sincere longing for his return and happy restoration to his native lights and splendors. But a time wore on, and the prince did not come. Tom's mind became more and more occupied with its new enchanting experience, and by little and banished the monarch to create almost out of his soul. And finally, when he did intrude upon them in intervals, he was become an unwelcome spectator, for he made Tom feel guilty and ashamed. Tom's first mother sisters traveled the same road out of his mind. At first he find this for them, sorrow for them, longed to see them, but later the thought of their coming some day in their rag and dirt and betraying him with his fair kisses, and pulling him down from his lofty place and dragging him back to the penury and degradation and the slums made him shudder. At last they ceased to trouble his thought almost always, and he was content, even rather, for whenever their mouth mournful and accusing faces his lies before him now, they made him feel more difficult than the warmth that crossed. At midnight of the 9th day of February, Tom Canty was thinking to sleep in his rich bed and palace, guarded by his doors, the vessels, and surrounded by the pomp of royalties. A happy boy, for tomorrow was the day appointed for his own crowning as the King of England. At the same hour as the Edward was a true king, hungry and thirsty, sold and dragged, one with travel and clothed in leg and shredded shirt of the digital riot was waged in among a crowd of people who were watching with deep interest the obsessions hurrying against the Westminster stream in and out of the Westminster Abbey, busy as ants. And they were making the last preparation for the lawyer's coronation. Okay, I finished reading with the screen.